what I love about child nutrition is that there's the capability of making things easier, but the one thing that you can't ever truly replace with AI is the community of child nutrition. And truly the AI can actually empower that.
It's about, I get so excited about what each district is doing, and that's why we work with them to get the right setup. And it's not transactional, it's truly a partnership, and we're working together with every district to make sure that they reach their goals.
Where can we compromise, where we give the power to the user versus like, you know what, we think this is the best way for you to work on, and we hope to like try to influence how like people work.
But now with AI, like some new technology like that, you can easily, save a bunch of time by just taking a picture or scanning it.
So I tell people that don't really understand school nutrition as a whole a lot that it's like they're running a business. Like, it's not a nonprofit. Yeah. They are legit like running a franchise. What's up, everybody? This is the Next Up podcast. I am at the Gaia K-12 HQ with Nate and Souha, or is it Soha? So we were just talking about this, and whenever we first met, when did we meet? Like
about a year ago.
All right, so I've been calling you Soha for all this time.
Yeah.
And then you were like, well, it's actually Souha. Then I got mad at you for not telling me how to pronounce your name. And then just before we started recording, we do like a tech check, right? And then we ask the guest to spell their name, say their name, that sort of thing. And you said Soha. So now I'm
didn't even notice that
confused.
I said that.
She said Soha, right?
She did.
Yeah.
She definitely did. All right.
So here's what, like, I know the reason behind it. So my name is actually Souha. So it's really just one syllable. But since I've been working outside of my home country for a very long time, and I've noticed that foreigners cannot say it in one syllable. So that's why I started like to make it easier for people to like write it or understand it. I say Souha or Soha. But yeah, it's actually Souha.
Because since I've been here, it's been my mission to pronounce your name correctly. And for me to say Souha, it's like I have to think about it. It's challenging. Yeah. And whenever I first got to the office yesterday, like I waited for you to say her name first. Yeah. You said Souha. So I'm like, all right, so it's Souha. Yeah. I'm like, all right, so I got to actually be intentional about this because I want to say Soha. But then you just said Soha, so now I'm all screwed up.
I don't mind any one of them, truly. It's you can even call me Sue. That's what a lot of my friends call me.
Yeah, when I've noticed when you put your Starbucks order in, it's
I say Sue.
Yeah.
Correction, I never order Starbucks.
That's true.
So what do you order if you don't order Starbucks?
I like local coffee shops. I like to like really not that they're hyper local, but yeah, I like to taste whatever I am. Yeah. Like a taste of whatever the favorite local coffee shop is.
Okay, that's fair. All
Yeah.
right, enough about you.
Yeah.
Soha, Souha, whatever your name is. All right, Nate. Let's start with introductions on your end.
Sure.
All right, so I guess I already know, but they want to know who you are, where you came from before this, and then why you chose Gaia K-12.
Yeah.
What makes you qualified to do the epic things that you're doing right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I can claim that I am qualified, but I'm sure I'm trying. So I live in Connecticut. I've been in technology my whole career. Have known from a very young age that technology and specifically software was my thing, and have honestly had just a really rewarding career doing that. Yeah. And what's been great
super nerd.
I am a super nerd. I wear that badge very proudly.
Yeah, as you should. I would.
Absolutely.
If I had your superpowers, I would definitely wear the badge.
So I've really I've been fortunate that I've been able to spend my career focusing on what I consider industries that are typically underserved by technology. I've worked in big tech. I've worked on very, very high technology, modern, bleeding edge projects. Yep. I've loved being able to take some of those things back to industries that, number one, I would consider underserved overall, that don't necessarily have access or speed to getting those modern technologies. But also things that, something that's been very important to me is an industry that will give back. So I spent time in like waste management and recycling and trying to actually work with large corporations and minimize their waste streams and figuring out how to recycle. I've worked in payments and financial literacy and trying to help the underbanked and work with credit unions to expand their member base and their community service, which led me here. It was always kind of on my plate to start a company. I have 2 kids in public school. I grew up on a farm. My wife is a nutritional therapy practitioner that works in a school, and she was like, can't you do something for schools.
So you were made for this.
I was built from the ground up for this.
So what kind of farm did you grow up on?
I grew up on just a very, very small family farm in a town that didn't even have a stoplight. We had a couple stop signs. Grew up in the woods with cows and pigs and chickens and 4-H and agriculture, and was just kind of like raised that way. What was interesting is my dad was actually an engineer as well. So he kind of had that technical background, and then would come home and be out in the hay fields and be out in the barn, and I'd be picking up hay bales in the summer and then going up to my grandmother's house to write software on her Apple II. It was definitely two different worlds kind of combined.
So was there like a moment where you decided you wanted to get into IT instead of working the farm, or did you always want to do IT?
Yeah, I mean, from the earliest ages I can think of, like computers and software and just technology in general was just an absolutely fascinating world. I consider myself very fortunate that from such a young age, I was just so dialed into what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's cool. All right.
Yeah.
Sue.
He says he understands coding language better than he understands English.
Absolutely.
It gives me a headache to just look at all the things that they're working
Yeah,
on.
it's like the Matrix or something. It really is. All right, so before we go on to we keep it real on the NxtGen or the Next Step podcast, and this is us being authentic, and there is a remote on the table. Oh. Can we get rid of that, please? It's driving me crazy because I missed it.
Oh my gosh.
Back to the episode. All right, Sue Souha.
Yeah.
So what's your story?
What's my story? So yeah, I mean, I also studied engineering, but I studied old school engineering. I did civil engineering, and I worked in construction for a while on like these really big projects. And it just wasn't fulfilling enough. And throughout my career, I've been always like trying to look for the next thing that, I'm impactful. That's actually something I can really feel like I'm part of a bigger mission or a bigger story. And so after a stint in construction, I then went on to do consulting and traveled to a lot of different countries and consulted these like very big companies. And I learned a lot about how to manage, transformations, how to take complex processes and really figure ways to optimize them. And at some point I was like, okay, I really want to take all these learnings and apply them to something that I really believe in. And I left my job and I was like, okay, what is my next thing? And when I learned about child nutrition, it wasn't even like my intention necessarily to start a company, but like as soon as I learned about child nutrition in the US, and like my perception about it was what I see on TV growing up. I didn't even grow up in here, and so it was like, oh, mean lunch lady scoops something onto your tray, right? And as I started to like understand the complications and the USDA compliance and the budgets and every little thing that they have to deal with, and that actually with all of that they're still serving the healthiest food, but there's a lot of barriers that are helping them to do more organic or to get more diverse foods or to do more scratch cooking. And just like I really felt like I found my purpose. And so I decided to take these learnings of knowing how to connect the dots. I would say that's my biggest talent, is connecting the dots and being able to come up with new ways to do old things. And I was like, this is it. I'm gonna do it with this amazing community of people that I find like I've really felt that I've integrated into. And
Just out of curiosity, where's your favorite place you traveled to? Because you're a world traveler. You're all over the place.
Yeah, I've traveled a lot. So I actually grew up on a very in a beach town, so to speak, and so I think that kind of what's the word? I don't know, like informs some of my influences, what I like. And so probably two of my favorite places that I've been to are Barcelona and Cape Town. And like what I love about both is that they're like by the beach. There's scenery and nature like right there. You can see a mountain. People are chill, I think, just again because they grew up on the beach. And I would say those are like two of my favorite cities that I would like to go back and visit again.
Cool.
Yeah.
So talk to me about Gaia. Like, how did Gaia come to be? So I know you have a passion for school nutrition, but how did you develop that passion? Like, who told you about school nutrition?
Yeah, I mean, I was, like I said, I left my job and I was really like, I knew that I wanted to be in the wellness space. I actually have myself had being a millennial and growing up in that area, have not a very healthy relationship with body and food and all of those things. And I've struggled with that throughout my life. A few years ago, I actually took a sabbatical after being at McKinsey for a few years, again, because I felt like drained. I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. And so I left my job. I moved back in with my parents. But the biggest change that I did was that I changed my lifestyle. And so what I ate and how I ate. And I lost 65 pounds, but I also saw the impact on my skin, on my hair, on my even moods. It really changed my relationship with food and understanding that it's not just about how much you eat, and there's really more to it. And so since then, I've been involved in pro bono projects, working with either fitness entrepreneurs, food entrepreneurs, people who are in that space. And so when I left my job, I knew I wanted to be in that space, but I wasn't sure what would be most impactful. But then when I did, for me, it was okay, how can we instill these right habits and build this knowledge that I built very late in my life and make it more accessible? And then when I was what if we teach it to people when they're still young? That's how you instill habits. And that's what made me yes. It's this is it. It's not only solving the wellness problem, it's also solving it at the right time. It's teaching them, and the school is really just such a center of the community. And so whatever habits these children learn, they are going to take them home with them. They are going to take them to their college when they go into, right? So it really is a very central to the community. And so that's why for me, it was once I learned that there is this problem to solve, I couldn't imagine myself solving any other problem. And the problem is that this industry or these operators have so many great ideas, have so much passion, but they have a lot of manual work that takes up their time away from being able to work with the kids, develop new ideas, teach them new things. And so that's the problem that I'm trying to solve, is give them back the time to do the things that they're good at and the things that they love for the benefit of those students.
So what you're saying is you're not necessarily trying to teach the students the healthier habits. You're trying to empower those that are teaching the students by giving them back more time in their day with the efficiencies and all that Guy's providing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really, and we want to, especially for the people on the front line, right? The people on the serving lines and the people in the kitchens. We want them to be excited about coming to work. We don't want, because I've been to quite a few schools and districts, and I see all the walls with the plastered with paper and people trying to remember things, and every fridge has a sticker, and it's the most common thing I hear is I don't want to be sitting on the computer doing stuff. I want to be going and seeing what the kids like to eat, and I want to help my staff. And so that's who really we want to get kind of honor and serve, is give them the tools that make their life easier. And that means it's better food that's getting served for those students.
So Nate, from a tech perspective, what were you most excited about when Gaia was about to become a thing? Was there one thing, one problem you wanted to solve, and how do you plan on solving it?
Yeah, gosh, there's so many to choose from. I think overall, it sounds backwards because, to Souha's point, we don't want our users to be sitting at a computer. And so for somebody who writes software, that sounds like it should be backwards, but that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. Because at the end of the day, all of the data and all the functionality is absolutely critically important to have for everything from audits to just data analysis to day-to-day operations to inventory to budgeting. So it's incredibly important to have, and that has to get entered from somewhere. So to actually sit with our engineering team, our product designers, working directly hand in hand with the schools, I think it's just been fascinating to come all together and figure out how is actually what is the best possible way that we can present an experience and a software to our users to ultimately get it out of their way. I think one of the interesting things with that, to get specific, is building software isn't necessarily always the right technology for every job. And I think that's a very common approach, is to give people a form or give people a screen where they can type something in or just get data in, and you're now sitting in front and you're crunching data and getting it in there. Take a production record. In a kitchen, the right technology is likely paper. You don't want to bring like even a tablet or a phone or a laptop and try to get this in. Let the users just do what they're comfortable with, which makes sense. I need to write down how many I produced today. I need to write down temperatures. I need to record certain things, but I can do that very, very quickly. And then we can actually leverage technology and modern technologies to now make that easier. So as an example, with the Gaia platform, you can take that paper production record, write out your numbers, snap a picture with your phone, and then Gaia will actually pull that in, and we can pull off handwriting. My handwriting is horribly messy, and it pulls that off, so the technology does work.
Well, that was my question. I was like, all right, so you're a tech company, but you're making people write their production records, and that's it? And then they have to manually enter it? So it's really cool to hear that you guys have OCR technology that actually works.
Yeah.
And they can not only, I'm assuming, scan it too?
Scan, picture.
But the picture thing is awesome. Like, I want to take a picture on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah, and like that's exactly like I think you said you want to make them write it on paper and put it back in. What I've observed is they want to use paper, right? They actually prefer that. And even for the districts that have now fully digital production records, they have slips that where people take notes throughout the day and then they come and enter it. And so we want to meet them where they are. They want to use paper. They don't want to be like spending hours entering information. And so that was like why we were like, okay, keep doing it with data. Instead of making you go and use the technology, we're going to use the technology to take that information for you.
That's so smart. And like, people don't want to move away from paper, and I would love to move away from paper. Like I have an iPad, I have the Apple Pen, like I want to write everything on that, but there is nothing like writing on paper. Like I just can't move away from it, and we're in a digital age, and people are still stuck or wanting to use paper. It's like it's just not going to go away.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, especially like that's the thing with like food service in general. Like that's never gonna be automated. AI is never gonna take over your job, and that it's because like all these things like are very manual, they're very analog, so you can't just solve it with technology. It's about meeting your process and like fitting into it.
So speaking of AI, so like you don't think 20 years from now you can just talk to an AI and it'll write your production record?
I think the AI can do your production and your menu, but I don't think it can actually chop the
that it can't do.
The vegetable
that it can't
and
do.
actually serve. That's my point, right? So these are non-essential workers, which the pandemic actually proved, and I am truly in awe of every single person in this industry and what they've had to go through and how on the expertise that they have. But yeah, like that's not a job that's automated. So let's focus on what we can take away from you so that you can focus on the chopping and the serving and the cooking and the engagement. But yeah, I'd love to, not even 20 years from now, I think in a few years, that's the intention of Gaia is give all the, like become like the intern and put all, like Gaia does all your recommendations. It recommends the menu. It recommends your orders. It prepares a draft of your bid document, and then all you have to come in and just like verify it and use it. And I don't think that's 20 years away. I think that's coming soon, and that's how we're gonna give them back time to focus on the things that they love and continue to feed more and more and more schools, more students, especially as we see there is a trend towards more universal meals, more CEP. So the volume is only growing. So how do we just free up their time? That's the main focus.
I actually love the conversation of just AI specifically around child nutrition, because a lot of times you'll hear AI specifically being talked about with what it's going to take away. It will take away jobs. It will, automate things and not require you anymore. What I love about child nutrition is that there's the capability of making things easier, but the one thing that you can't ever truly replace with AI is the community of child nutrition. And truly the AI can actually empower that. And I think that's what we love with working with all these schools is we see, to Souha's point, like how innovative they are. We see schools with like bakeries and like they're slicing their own deli meats, and some of the recipes are amazing.
Oh yeah.
And it can actually empower that to just get all this out of their way and actually truly like make make everybody's lives better.
Yeah. So my mind was instantly wandering whenever you made a comment about like we need people to chop carrots. Well, the other day I watched Terminator for the first time in forever, and of course after I watched that, now YouTube TV wants to serve me like iRobot to watch.
Oh my God.
Well, hey, maybe in like 50 years robots could be chopping up some carrots for us, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
But until we get there.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so. Whenever we first met, we were introduced by a food service director, and I have the opportunity to see lots of different types of technologies and like solutions, equipment, and like all sorts of things like that. And I come from the IT world. I used to work for a company similar to yours, and whenever I heard about you, I was like, well, what really qualifies you guys, right? Like. Why do you think you can take on this incredible undertaking and compete with the other juggernauts out there? And I didn't really ask it to you that way because I didn't think I had to, because right away you told me you were building this from the ground up with food service directors. Yeah. And like when you told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, this does have serious potential. Yeah. So can you talk to me a little bit about why you went that route and how you did that and so on?
Yeah, so actually when I first started the company, before I had actually met Nate, and because he's the one who's going to execute on my vision. I'm the one who has all the big ideas.
You're like me.
I have no talent other than having big ideas.
I'm not good at anything but having ideas and talking to people, apparently.
So I really wanted, so like I said, my background has been in like managing these like very complex programs and being able to like, in my last project, I was working with marketing, finance, sales, accounting, operations, to like make sure that their processes are working together. So I knew that I needed to understand the big picture of what child nutrition is before I can start thinking about how am I helping, how can I add value, right? And so I started just reaching out to directors that either like, I researched districts that were, sometimes a bit more innovative. I looked for the districts that are in a certain, have a certain number of schools. Like those were the people that I said, okay, I want to see what their day-to-day looks like. And I was very lucky that people were, want to talk about these things. They are interested in solving these problems. And so I built this advisory board of about 12 to 15 directors, but also assistant directors, supervisors, like people who are actually on the ground. And I spent the first 6 months, we did not write a line of code for 6 months because I was just truly understanding not just back of house or just front of house. How does their whole operation fit in together? How does equipment factor into this? Every district I've gone to has either some like Excel tracking sheet where they're trying to keep up with maintenance and repairs. Maybe their district has the handy whatever task manager, but like still like there's nothing that shows you the value of your equipment or the history of its maintenance. What about the shift management? And more staffing is becoming an issue. How can we like factor that into our things? And so we really looked at the whole picture, and then we decided we're going to start with back of house because that's where the biggest pain point is right now. It's in managing inventory. It's as more and more districts switch, post-COVID, there's been a bit of a reset. There's a lot of more interest in fresh foods, in scratch foods, and so that's where the biggest pain point is. We're seeing a lot more school districts doing central kitchens or central facilities. So we decided to start there, but we built it knowing that then it needs to fit in with point of sale and it needs to fit in with equipment. So it wasn't just like, we built something small and then we're gonna tack onto it. We built the foundation for everything, and then we started if I had to compare it, I usually use the Lego analysis, but I'm gonna use an actual building. So so basically we built the whole foundation and we just started fitting out the first floor. We'll get to the basement later. We'll get to the second floor later, but the idea is that the foundation is already there. It is gonna all work together. It's not gonna be a band-aid later on that now we need to integrate it with the point of sale. No, it's already integrated with the point of sale. It's just that the point of sale is not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so advantageous to be a new company, have the opportunity to build a new software, like with the feedback and the direction of people that actually are using the thing every single day.
Yeah,
that's
agreed.
awesome.
It's been an amazing insight because like the districts that I've worked, so the directors that I've worked with as advisors come from districts that are as small as 5 schools to districts that are 75 schools, and some of them have vended meals. Some of them do their own food. Some of them are a mix of quick scratch and heat and serve. And some of them, do more, like just all these different ways of operating. And so all of that was being factored into how we built this. And I'm going to let Nate talk a little bit more about configurability. So because we looked at all the different types of models, all the different sizes of schools, we were able to build something that it truly can be tailored to different operations.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Nate, speak to configurability.
Yeah.
I can't say that.
Yeah, no, it was really important for us from the get-go, and I think especially with Souha saying that we spent so much time as a software company not building software in the very early days, and a lot of that was to try to really understand what does this need to be able to do in order to serve everyone very well. With software, I think you can very easily and accidentally go down a rabbit hole where you need to now all of a sudden manage all these customizations. So it's like, oh, well, this district wanted it set up like this, so now we have to hard code it like this way, and now we have to maintain that, and it can't break these other districts, and that can get out of control very, very quickly. I've seen it happen at many companies. Our approach has always been to build configurability in as a first-class tenant of our platform from the ground up, meaning that across the entire functionality set, no matter what a district wants to do with it, they can configure it that way, which doesn't require our engineering team to go in and make one-off changes for them, which they then need to maintain, which they then need to make sure doesn't break as additional changes are made. So out of the box, a district can truly have it fit their workflow, fit their data, fit their needs, optimize it for them without needing to actually customize anything or wait for changes or things of that sort.
Cool.
So I'll give a couple of quick examples that for the districts that we're currently working with. Production records, different people track different data on their production records. Their staff are used to doing things a certain way. It usually takes, less than 2 minutes when I ask you to set it up, to change it for each district has their own view of a production record, and the calculation work the same, the inventory updates work the same, but each person sees it the way that they want, the way that they're used to. Same with like menus and how you organize your menus and how you categorize them. So that's what it means by like configuration. It's like the baseline is there, but then you can design it whatever way you like. So if we go back to the building analogy, one person might decide to put wallpaper, another person might decide to paint it. And so that's what we're offering them, that level of configurability.
That is so cool. That's awesome. So what would you, like when you were talking to the directors out there, to the districts, what would you guys say was their biggest pain point, like within back-of-house software, and how are you guys solving that?
I think in general, the biggest problem is that things are not integrated, right? So even when they do buy a full suite or have software for all different kinds of things, we find that they still need to then do a lot of reporting, reconciliation outside of the system. And so pretty much everyone is like a Google Sheet wizard in this industry. And I'm like so impressed by the innovative stuff that they've come up with on Google Sheets. So that was for us that's why we took that step back, because it was like a thing that I heard commonly is like, oh, even I have to go and log in 2 places and I have to remember 2 passwords, or even though I updated my inventory here, it's not actually like I still have to do my weekly walkthroughs and it's not accurate. And so I think it was that siloed approach that was a big problem, with a particular focus on inventory. I think people were really, really having a hard time having inventory integrated with their orders and with their production records and staying on top of like perpetual inventory on a day-to-day. And I would say the other part, and that's for me like the more important one and why I am now doing this and what I love, is the partnership. I think a lot of time it's software. And I like for me, that's hard. It's for me, it's about the solution. It's about, I get so excited about what each district is doing. And that's why we work with them to get the right setup. And it's not transactional, it's truly a partnership. And we're working together with every district to make sure that they reach their goals and have happier students.
Yeah. So what would you guys say is one of the things, or give me a list of things if you want, of like differentiators from you and the other companies out there right now?
I'm gonna go first, and then you can chime in. So I will say the most common one is intuitiveness. So the most common feedback that I've gotten from all different roles in this industry, whether they're a school manager, a director, procurement, purchase, oh, this works the way I think. Like or like as soon as they look at it, it's like, oh, you read my mind. So it really is because we built it from the ground up with a lot of input. It really was built in the way that they think. And so it really, I've had a few either advisors or directors that I've given them, free access to our sandbox, and they didn't even need training, and they started using it because
crazy.
You sign in, and it's very obvious where everything needs to happen. There's not too many clicks. Everything is centralized. So I think that's our biggest, not biggest, but like the most visible one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Nate talk about some of the technical advantages that we have and things like that. But I would say that truly it's just such a user-friendly software. And I don't like to just like boast it, but that's what it's truly the most common feedback that I get is that, oh my God, it's so easy to use and it works exactly the way that we think about these things. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Nate, your turn.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff I can nerd out.
Let's nerd out, man.
But, it's a very, very modern tech stack, which is great.
Yeah.
And we get to 100% cloud native, automatically scales up and down. So in terms of a capacity, we'll never run out of compute needs or anything of that sort. And then with the configurability, I think that's definitely a key differentiator that we'll touch on again. The way that I look at it, even for the technology side, is it almost goes back to like building the foundation and looking at everything all together. There's been a lot of hard problems that I think potentially with other solutions they've been shied away from. I think we've really hit those head on from the get-go. And there's a lot of late night whiteboard sessions and some trickery to get there. But I think our whole team takes that product first approach of really making sure that, are we delivering something that's intuitive to our users? Will they be able to figure it out automatically? Is this the way that they think about things? And I think just to take that extra time and care gets reflected in the software, and that we can actually then tackle some of these hard problems and give them solutions that truly make their lives easier.
Yeah. So how long have you guys been around?
So Gaia officially was founded in December 2022. Mm-hmm. So just coming up on 2 years.
Coming up on 2 years.
But we already have a full back of house suite.
That
so in
is
1 year,
impressive.
I'm very impressed. They're my team, but I am so blown away by them, by their passion, their kind of the quality of the work. The quality of the work that they're making, and that again is something that my advisors have commented on. They were like, "Oh, when you told us that you're going to be working on this, we thought it was going to be like 3 years away."
Yeah.
And so some of them, because of how quickly that we've been working, they've already now converted and are starting to use Gaia as well.
And what are they saying?
They love it. Yeah. I mean, listen. Right now, it's still in the. I'm not gonna lie that it's still in development. There's still so much more that we're building. So sometimes there might be things that maybe slow down a little bit or not work on a particular day. But what they have been very happy with is how quickly we get to these. They'll report a bug and at most a day later it's already solved.
That is wild.
One of our biggest problems that we joke about, but it's also true, is that one of our biggest problems is that our customers want to use even more. There's like, hey, we know you're working on this feature. Can we have this yet? Like this worked great. Can we have this one? So it's great to kind of have that demand and truly see that we're actually helping people and that they're liking what we're building, that it's making their lives easier, and that's for me very rewarding.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So where do you guys see Gaia in the next 2 years?
Ooh. Do you want me to say the diplomatic answer or the raw answer?
Let's keep it real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what can you tell us?
No. For us, we started, both of us, I think you've heard from our story, it was about what impact we can do, right? And so what we want is to be helping as many districts as possible if we are the right solution for them at this time. And so we, like I said, we have a pretty solid V1 of a backup house, lots more innovations to come, but it works together. You enter a piece of information, you never have to enter that data again. It updates your inventory, it updates your production records, it does it all like always in real time. So the next phase is to also build out the front of house V1, and so that's going to be a focus for us over the next year, as well as continuing to evolve our central kitchen module. So that would be like the 1 year plan, in my opinion. And then the second year is, while we're continuing to do improvement, is to start expanding some of those other things, such as the equipment and the resourcing and inspections and all these other millions of things that they have to do that I can't wrap my head around how they do it every day.
Man, Nate, you guys are going to be busy. Your team are going to be really busy.
Yeah. Luckily, I love to work.
Yeah. But
so are you like, you want to go to the same place? Do you have other exciting things that you want to work on?
No, I mean, you're minimizing it. I mean, it's the tip of the iceberg of even some of our real plans and even some of your ideas. But that's what I love about it is we have a lot of road mapping sessions. Souha and I spend a lot of our time week to week, even on the near-term roadmaps, on the mid-term roadmaps, the long-term roadmaps. And I mean, the ultimate vision is huge. So this is really just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot that we can do. We have an incredible team that can do it. And really, we're just looking to just partner with as many districts as possible to see if we can help them out.
He asked me 2 years, not 5 years. I'm being real.
Well, speaking of the team, is the team here?
Yeah, let's get them in.
Yeah.
I would love to chat with the team.
Yeah.
Okay.
And no offense without either one of you.
Let's go get them. We'll give you a quick water break and they'll come back.
Right,
we'll have them come here. Thank you, Marlon.
Awesome. Thanks. All right, so I found the smart people from Gaia. So I got the tech team here, the developers. I'm super pumped to talk to them because they have some pretty cool backstories and they're doing amazing things. I don't know how they're doing what they're doing. So Bren and Christine, how are you today?
Doing great.
Thank you so much for stepping out of your comfort zone and having a chat with me today. Because if I know most developers or IT people, you do not like being on camera. And I did not like being on camera either for the longest time because I relate a lot to you, which is why I really wanted to speak to you guys. So, Bren, where'd you come from? What brought you to Gaia?
Yeah.
And we'll start from there.
I've been working in the software industry for about a decade now. So it's been a while. I actually started out in marketing and advertising first. So that industry, I wasn't a coder all my life. I actually started as a product manager. Working more for the product and the business side of companies. And I've worked for big and small companies, all sizes, over that last decade. But and I've just been here at Gaia for the past year and just been having a blast being part of this community and learning about the nutrition industry and especially within schools. So
and you're also a runner too. You just finished a race. How did that go?
Yes, on Saturday. Yeah, I just did a half marathon. So
that's crazy.
It's been going good. Yeah, I'm enjoying this new kind of hobby. It's been teaching me a lot.
Wait, a new hobby? When did you start?
It's probably been a year or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why running? Running is horrible.
Honestly, didn't like it at first.
It's so bad.
Honestly, did not like it at first. But I think over time I've learned to love it. It's kind of it's taught me to kind of trust the process and be patient. And it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time.
Do you have a running goal that you're working towards? Are you trying to do a full marathon? You want to do an Ironman, something like that? Or what?
My short-term goal, 3 months out as a marathon. So I signed up for the marathon in Hawaii. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can I go with you?
I have family there in Hawaii.
You on.
Yeah, come on.
I'm not a runner, but
I would
I'll
love that.
spectate.
That's awesome.
I need all the motivation I can get.
Isn't there some epic race in Hawaii where you run up a mountain or something?
I've heard there was crazy hikes and stuff. Yeah, I'm not that.
I'm sorry, not a mountain, a volcano.
The
volcano.
I'm sure there are. Yeah. There's some crazy hikes I've heard, but I'm not that adventurous. I'll stick to the road.
That sounds cool. I wouldn't mind doing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
all right, ma'am, you're up.
Oh, hey, I'm Christine. I've been at Gaia for 2 months. I'm the newest member.
You are the newbie.
I am newbie. And,
Yeah.
everyone's like, you joined in at a peak time. And, like, hit the ground running. No, but my background was actually not in tech. So right now I am a software developer, but it kind of was full circle coming back here to Gaia because of my past life, as I say. I actually worked in the food industry. I wanted to actually like open my own restaurant and like serve food. So yeah, I've been in restaurant management in New York City for like almost a decade before I made the switch. But being at Gaia now, like what resonated with me was I have so much empathy for the people that do this stuff. I have been in your shoes. This is why I switched, okay? But please stay in there. The world needs you. And so being able to, provide solutions that like make your job easier, like that's been super fulfilling to me. And the more I learn about our customers, or like the more I learn about like how schools run, right? I don't have a background in schools, but like it's like inspiring, and it just makes me want to like really, contribute to this mission. And like the folks at Gaia here, including Bren, like they have this vision of making the world a better place. And I'm so subscribed to that. And like, I really want to make that happen.
So what kind of restaurant were you working in?
Oh my gosh. So I first started out at a bakery. This was a high volume bakery. It's still here. It's actually like 3 blocks away from this office. And my first day coming in here, they were like, hey, we brought you breakfast. I'm like, okay, guys, I actually used to manage that bakery. And they're like, no way. I'm like, no, seriously. That's like, I helped create that slogan, actually. So I worked in bakeries. We did lots of wholesale, like lots of major New York restaurants would do that. Then I moved on to a lot of fast casual stuff. So a lot of like, actually working around like, now being outside the restaurant world and like being a customer, I just look at all the people working during like lunch rushes, weekends, holidays, and I'm like, I know how to be a good customer because I know y'all are having it tough out there, and yeah.
That's cool. So I tell people that don't really understand school nutrition as a whole a lot that it's like they're running a business. Like it's not a nonprofit. They are legit like running a franchise, and this one franchise may have one restaurant. They may have like 10 restaurants. They may have 1,000 restaurants, something like that. And that just turned off. Once again, we are very authentic here, and we are going to fix this real quick because our logo disappeared. So one thing I tell people a lot that may not really understand K-12 or school food service as a whole is that it is like a business. Like these school nutrition programs are almost like franchises, and their restaurants feed hundreds, if not thousands of kids or serve meals per day, right? And a lot of people just think it's a nonprofit. Like they just do it to do it, but it's a business. So with you being in the restaurant industry coming into K-12, are you seeing some of those same things like, oh man, they are kind of like a little bit alike in a way?
Oh yeah, totally. I try to, frame what Gaia's role is in this industry. And I think we have plans to like cover many more corners, but like there's some day-to-day stuff that is like a total struggle. And actually I was just talking to Bren like 5 minutes ago on like, we're trying to think like, oh man, how do they menu plan? Like there's so many things you have to consider. And my comment was literally like, how do people do this? And like, we're trying to figure out the technical solution so that they don't have to use that brain power so they can do other stuff. But yeah, there's just so many aspects to the operations. It's like menu planning is one part, like production is another part, people management is another part. So just like you said, it's like, I think coming in, not having a big background on this, you really underestimate what the actual day-to-day is. And it is, I'm still learning more every day. And it's a lot to just understand from an outsider. So a lot of respect for the people in it.
Yeah, and you hit on that. Like for me, I've never had a background in food industry or service, and I mean the only experience I've had is actually being a student, right, in the public school system, and I used to eat the food that the school served every day, but I didn't know how much work was actually put into that. So Christine, I think her background being in the food industry and all that definitely you grow a little bit of appreciation for how much work gets put into
Yeah.
put into getting food served to kids and to people, and it in that scale as well.
Yes.
To your point, so
Yeah, when I remember my first day, so I have a tech background, like I told you guys last night. And when I accepted my position at the school district I worked at, I was going on a tour. Like they were like, we want to show you what school nutrition is all about. And I remember walking into my old high school that was within the district I was working at now, and it took me into the kitchen, and it blew my mind. Like
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought the food just like showed up and
Yeah.
was ready to go. Like I didn't know they were scratch cooking, doing all this cool stuff, and that there was so much to it. Like there was so much business behind the decisions that they made, which is ultimately to feed more students more healthy, nutritious, delicious foods, right? Yeah, just so it was so cool, so cool. Is there anything that surprised you guys so far, like being new to the school nutrition industry, as far as like from a tech perspective?
a lot.
Everything.
I mean, on the same note, just how much gets put into getting food served every day. It has been a lot, and I'm still learning. I think I wouldn't be able to learn about all this without the community and without the people that are involved with Gaia and our advisors. Our advisors have been great, getting us all kind of ramped up and sharing information and knowledge about all of that. And we're learning all these districts also operate a little bit differently as well.
Yeah.
So that's also been a big surprise. You automatically think like, hey, everybody operates the same, but no,
Nope, they're all different.
Things can happen every single day, right? Especially,
Yes.
the problems that happen that you have to kind of get through on a day-to-day has been surprising as well. But just learning overall that process. And we're still learning, and we want to help out wherever we can help out with technology.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing. You learn a lot about, I learned a lot about like the amount of regulations that go into this. So there's a lot of rules you got to operate on a basis. So, as software developers, we need to know what those rules are so that we can like make your life easier. But then you add on top of that the differences in how everyone operates. And right now our customers, like there are similarities. So we, like as developers, we want to give you kind of like a one size fits all solution. But we're finding that's not the case. Like everyone like operates quite differently, or like just a little differently, or maybe this one person like likes to manage their workflows this way. So a lot of the technical discussions we have is, okay, where can we compromise, where we give the power to the user versus like, you know what, we think this is the best way for you to work on, and we hope to like try to influence how like people work. So like who influences who, and maybe there's like nice little middle ground on like how that happens.
Yeah, I hear you guys do a lot of customizations too. Is that true?
Yes.
and it's not about I think customizations for sure, but again, it's about people operate differently, and and technology also isn't always the right solution to everything as well, right? So I think there's a mix of that where it's I think everybody works differently, and we want to make sure that we provide a solution that's not saying like, hey, you have to do it this way, because there's so much that goes into a day-to-day that one little change can throw off your whole day, right? And we don't want to push technology on people that where it doesn't make sense, right? Like if you're working outside getting deliveries or working in a kitchen, like why would you be carrying around a huge laptop or a huge tablet or whatever? So we don't want to change how people use technology, but more so like where can technology kind of fit in kind of organically and naturally, where it makes life easier, especially with like a lot of the automation stuff and
It's so true.
manual work that you don't want to do every day. Like we're past that, right? Like technology can help with that.
Yeah, for real. Is there one particular like piece or module or like even a line of code or whatever it is that you guys are like most excited about? Like, what do you guys think?
Oh man, there's so many. I mean, again, this goes back to like our community that's been involved with Gaia, and they share exactly where we can help with technology. So I mean, all of those things. But if I have to call one thing out, I don't know. Like I guess compliance has been really cool.
On our mind right
'cause
now.
Oh, that sounds
that's been
horrible.
a big pain point for
Yeah.
districts and for people managing menu planning and things like that. And I think that's just a powerful piece of software where you were able to menu plan really quickly and be able to see if you're compliant or not without doing like hard math and stuff. My sister-in-law was a nutritionist, and she always told me she stayed up all night, like just replacing one recipe with another. And it's like, oh my God, like, can technology help you with that, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, totally. It's just we didn't have the right tools or anything like that. So.
Okay. What about you? Compliance?
Oh my gosh. I'll say like on the daily basis, we celebrate all the big and small wins. We're like, oh, this is a really cool piece of tech. Or like, it's really amazing to hear feedback from customers. Like what I perceive as like a small change, like, oh, maybe it's not a big deal, but the feedback we get is, oh my God, this is great. But the like when I first got introduced to Gaia, when I joined the team, I like got to play around with the app and I literally said, I needed this 10 years ago. Like every I wasn't even joking. Every part of like menu planning, inventory tracking, it does all the math for you. Like I was one of those people that created my own Excel sheets. I created my own algorithms. Like, you know, then I got to share it with them. But I was like, if I had this would have like saved me a lot of headache and heartache too.
Yeah, and like that's the whole idea, right? You want to give time back to people so they can do the thing that they really want to do, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's why we have things like technology and
Yeah.
Gaia and you guys.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So I asked Souha and Nate like where they saw Gaia in the next 2 years. Now I'm gonna ask you guys where do you see Gaia in the next 2 years, from your perspective.
Ooh.
Anything you guys would like to accomplish?
Yeah, it's a hard question for me because it's like, you know, I think most like tech companies that I've worked for, at least, it's like, what do we want to innovate? What do we want to like? Where do we want to get to in the next 2 years? Or how do we want to be disruptors in the next 2 years? But for me at Gaia, it's in the community we build and people that are involved. It's almost like I'm excited. I don't know where that's where it's gonna go in 2 years, but I think more importantly, it's sort of like how do we kind of create this community around us, and how do we create this foundation around us, and have the right people involved and get people excited. To really contribute to the product and to see where that goes in the next 2 years. I don't know. There's like the more people involved, right, and then the more people that get excited about this and want to contribute, like. Who knows where it's gonna go? Obviously, we want to keep evolving Gaia and helping where we can with technology. But it's hard for me to kind of say specifics. But
I love the fact that you keep talking about the community and the people because this industry is so relational. Like everybody talks to everybody, and the school districts are not competing against each other. They are like working together. Like everybody wants to feed more kids, right? And the fact that you guys focus so much on those relationships, like from the very base level, you guys started building the product based off of what your relationships told you to build, like because they're the ones using it. And that's awesome. And I feel like there does need to be more of a community, especially like when you're talking about software companies, because if you guys have a solid base of people that care about the product and they're all working together, like they're just going to help you guys make a better software that's going to make their lives easier, that's going to feed more kids. So it's super cool. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Who knows where we'll be in 2 years? I think we have very big, ambitious goals. But
we were talking about like robots and AI and Terminator and
I was
all
thinking
that
about
stuff.
your VR idea last night. I can't spill, our Incredibles.
That would be so awesome.
You really got my brain flowing like, oh wow, tech could be used for good, and really thinking outside the box was like the funnest part about working in tech. But I would say the future, like in 2 years, I think Bren nailed it. I think, a lot of companies dictate, hey, this is how we want our users to use this. But I think the more adoption we get, the more people we can not just convince, but like really have them believe in Gaia and be able to spread the good word. They will help us dictate what our future looks like. So really, we work for y'all, and we're not going to create things that just don't work for you. That's not us. We're not here to innovate just for the sake of innovation. It's like, what are the real life problems we're solving day to day? And that's literally our conversations every day. Like, yes, we could do some really fancy VR thing, but who's going to really use that? I need to figure out menu planning today. I got to figure out the compliance. So I just envision a future where you see Gaia everywhere, and I think we're all really working towards that.
So the crazy thing that we were talking about yesterday at dinner was, I was like, how cool would it be if a kid could be wearing a VR headset or AR headset, it can walk down a serving line and like a HUD pops up, a heads up display pops up, and they can see exactly like the nutritional values of like the carrots over here or the peas over there or like where did this beef or where did this chicken come from, like those sorts of things. I mean,
I love that.
No, I think it's
Way
cool
off.
to think about those things.
Yeah.
And
let's just
it would
think
be
about
great.
them.
But of course, there's like more that get that's involved in trying to get that integrated and then we definitely are careful about that. But no, I think so one thing to call out that's top of mind for me is like the OCR. So we've done OCR for production records, which we use AI, which AI has been kind of a big thing the past year, and people have been figuring out like good usages for it and all of that. But I think right now most people are using AI for data collection and being able to like read unstructured data really fast, because that was just a pain before. So for production records specifically, it's unstructured data on a piece of paper, and a lot of time is spent trying to sift through that, trying to data enter that into software. But now with AI, like some new technology like that, you can easily save a bunch of time by just taking a picture or scanning it, and you're utilizing AI to read that and structure the data and to get it into a systemized way. So that's one I think we've innovated in that area, and there's definitely more. Like the AR one is cool for sure. We talked. I think Nate talked about like a tray. When you go to the Amazon store and you have like the trays that can kind of detect what food you've taken and things like that. So it's just more opportunity to kind of collect data, and like be able to honor that data, or like if a kid has an allergen and they pick something, like hey, we could use technology to stop them from getting sick potentially and things like that. So
I was at National Restaurant Association, I don't think it was this past year, it might have been the year before, and there was a restaurant company that was using AI to actually monitor how much food was on the serving line, like getting served, so it could actually track like the amount in each scoop.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, and report back. It was pretty cool. Yeah. And if they're doing that, I mean, it's not too long before it's going to be in schools. But like I'm a huge nerd, and I just can't wait till like we're in a world where it's like Ready Player One. I want to go to the Oasis.
I don't think we're that far off, right?
I mean, who knows? Like that could be like 5 years out. VR's come a long way.
Yeah, back in my day, we didn't have any of that.
No. There was one thing. Oh gosh, we're getting so off topic here, but that's fine. Remember the Nintendo? You guys are probably too young for this.
No,
it was the Virtual Boy. Was it Virtual Boy?
Oh.
And it was like VR that came out Nintendo released it, gosh, like back in the 90s. Yeah. But it was just like everything was black and red. That's all it was. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. So before your time,
a long
right?
Way. It's crazy.
Sure
it's like, when you think about it, it's not that long ago. Like it's
for real.
What, 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah, it's not that long ago.
Yeah.
Who knows what we're going to be in the next 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
2 years. When you asked that question, I was like, I don't know what we're going to be. Like, we might have the next AI, evolution of AI, and VR is going to be crazy.
So. I definitely see AI finding its place in school nutrition, especially because, like, compared to, like, the restaurant world, like, they have to be efficient, too. Like, I get it. But in schools, they really have to be efficient because they're, like, some of these kids only get, like, 15, maybe 10 minutes to eat. And these school districts have to pump out food and make it really easy to get to and give the kids time to eat. Yeah. It's wild, and I think AR can save a lot of time. AI can save a lot of time and create more efficiencies. It give people more, time back in their days. And you guys are doing that. Well, hey, I appreciate you both. Thank you for chatting with me a bit.
Thanks for having us.
Any final words? Ooh. Yeah. I feel like Christine has something to say.
Final words. Oh gosh, I'll have Bren be the last words. No, just my closing thoughts. I'm really excited to be here. Right, I'm like celebrating my 2-month milestone, and I have my own goals for myself at Gaia. I want to help contribute to Gaia's next year. Like, I'm really hoping I can look back on this and just be like, wow, we are still the same. We did what we want to do. We helped contribute to the community, and that we didn't lose sight of what we stand for and what we're building. So Yeah, speaking of the
All right,
future.
top that.
Um,
Good luck.
yeah, can't top that.
Yeah, what she said.
Just want to say thank you for having us,
Yeah.
obviously, and all you do, Marlon.
Yeah.
'cause-
Yeah, it's my
amazing.
pleasure. It's been fun traveling up here and meeting with you and the team. You guys are awesome. And it was funny because whenever I walked in, like I know Nate and Souha, like, but you guys were out working on something.
Yeah.
And then when you came in, within seconds, I was like, I feel like this is my team. Like this is like the family. This is cool. So I love what you guys are doing, and I love the fact that there are people that are coming from outside industries that have a passion for K-12 that are building technologies based off of their experiences from outside of the industry. But you guys are working with the school districts to make it, which makes it even better. It's like the best of both worlds, and you're starting from the ground up. It's this new software, and I'm super fired up to see where you guys take it in the next 2+ years. So.
Yeah.
I'm honored to have a chance to sit here, hang out with you guys, and meet with you. So cool.
Thank you for having us.
No problem. And thank you guys